Matrics complete their final exams. The authorities are intensifying their campaign against matric rage and pens down parties. We speak now to Amy Kerr, who's an educational psychologist and head of wellness at St. David's Maritz Inanda School. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, a lot of the talk at the moment is around the impact and the necessity of the pens down parties as matriculants breathe a sigh of relief. They're finally done with these exams and they now want to go out and celebrate. What are your thoughts around this conversation?
So, well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, our matrics have just finished their exams, and certainly there's a lot of festivity in the air. I think they are all super excited. It's a long, long haul. I think it is a little bit, in some ways, a rite of passage that they have this long break where many of them do go off to matric rage or just whatever they're going to be doing, where they're really let loose. And I think it is important that we grant them some opportunity to let the, sort of release the handbrake a little bit. But it can be difficult, certainly in terms of this waiting period. It's a little bit of a limbo time for a lot of them while they wait for their exam results. They've got a long holiday before some of them might be going to university or not, or a gap year. And they go from a place of a lot of control, a lot of structure, a lot of routine, from what time they get up, what they're going to wear for the day, what they're going to eat, what their timetable looks like. It's go, go, go all the time. And then suddenly we expect them to be responsible adults where they must make good choices. They must have their lives in order. And a lot of them don't. A lot of them really struggle. It's a huge adjustment for them. And I think from my side, if we can give them some sort of stable base, and I think this speaks very much to parents' involvement. At school, they're under the eye of parents and teachers all the time, and suddenly they leave our school and off they go, and we expect them to flourish, and we want them to flourish. But I think we need a little bit of a scaffolded, structured approach, for parents to check in. Are they still getting enough sleep? Are they eating properly? Sort of the base of that triangle, engaging in some kind of exercise programs, creative expression, maybe mindfulness activities to kind of give them that toolbox, because there is a lot of expectation around marks being released, around rage, what they're going to do, what they're going to be getting up to. And I think for parents, we need to just assist them in managing that, giving them a little bit of structure. We can't suddenly expect them to be fully functioning adults and making the best choices when they maybe don't have all those skills, and we need to start equipping them with those skills.
Absolutely. I mean, you speak about a very important part where there is a long wait to getting those results, finding out what the future looks like. Is it university? Is it repeating grade 12? What sort of advice do you have when it comes with coping with the anxiety for both parents and the pupils?
So I think for me, one of the number one things is to set realistic expectations. Boys from our school certainly have very high expectations, and I think it comes from parents, it comes from teachers, and it comes from themselves. And a lot of them decide, when they're in grade 10, these are the subjects we're going to pick because I'm going to be X, Y, Z. This is what I'm going to study. And my advice is always pick subjects or pick courses. If you're not quite sure what you want to do, that's okay. Make sure that you're picking your subjects early on that are going to open up as many doors for you as possible. If you're not quite sure what it is that you want to study or you want to do, don't just pick one thing and go, well, this is it, because then if you don't get into that course, or maybe you don't get the marks that you want, that you expected, there's a lot of disappointment. And our young people need to be able to cope with that. They need to have the resilience to go, okay, well, this didn't work out for me. What is my next choice? What are other options? And I think parents have a key role here to have those conversations, to open up that communication, that just because perhaps the perception is that we failed at one thing doesn't mean that we are then a failure, because that can have a really detrimental effect on the mental health of young people, which I think is kind of hanging in the balance as it is at the moment. So for me, it's really giving them that toolbox, setting goals with them, having those conversations. What are other things they don't need to know when they are 17, 18, 19 years old, what they're going to be when they're 40 years old? And I think the options that kids have these days are so much broader than we ever did. So get them into courses, doesn't have to be university. Get them exposed to life experiences where they're going to be able to grow and develop skills so that they've got choices later on, and it doesn't have to be a straight line to one thing. There can be many, many paths that they can take.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the next step, I mean, and also looking at day-to-day life, what do you think are some of the really important ways when it comes to healthy ways of communicating effectively for both the parents and the pupil?
So I think that for me is one of the things that I speak about a lot in our school environment, is that communication, and how do we foster that open communication style. And something that I speak about, there's different parenting styles. Some parents are very strict. It's a kind of do as I say, not as I do. That doesn't work. Our children are watching us from a very young age. And it's not to say that just because we're going to try something new as a parent when they're a bit older, that, we can't change things. But I think you've got to start those conversations early. Talk to them, listen to them, let them have their feelings. I think especially for boys and young men, something I talk about a lot is feeling the different feelings. We can't just always be happy. Okay, if I'm sad, if I'm disappointed, I didn't get into that course that I thought I was going to get into. Let's talk about it. Let's sit with that disappointment. Let's sit through that sadness. When we come out of the other side, okay, we've survived it. What's our next step? I like to work from a solution-focused point of view where we are always setting goals, and it doesn't have to be, if we scale things from 0 to 10, okay, 10 is the ultimate where we want to be. We can't be there all the time, all day, every day.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes we're sitting at a 3, and that's okay. What do we need to do to just move that half a step towards our end goal? What is one small thing that we can do that we can focus on that's positive? Once we've got that right, then we build in the next step. And I think parents are key in this, opening up those conversations with young people, just giving them the freedom and the space to feel safe to talk about where they're at, what they're feeling, and what their hopes and dreams are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Amy Kerr, educational psychologist.